All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Office 365 Pulse. There are a lot of roadmap changes today. It's almost as if Microsoft is potentially cleaning up the roadmap. Thousands of changes. It was a little odd as we were going through it. So we decided to do a highlights reel. Uh, Adam was not able to join us today, so it's going to be the three of us and Tamara and Tom. It is going to be the Tamara and Tom show, and they're going to be bouncing us through the highlights. So we're going to start with Tamara because it's always fun to watch Tom squirm. But we're going to start with Tamara, and she's going to give us through some of the highlights in the in development category, and then she'll pass it on to Tom, and we'll kind of go through the list.
Fabulous. I've got to tell you that the first thing that I'm really excited about is Microsoft Teams meeting attendee registration. I think this is something that has been missing from Teams for a while and makes it more of a contender with other meeting applications, especially if you're going to be doing webinars. So it's add a custom attendee registration page to any meeting to better manage attendance before and after any engagement. So following the registration, attendees receive an email confirmation with a calendar invite. So this to me is just
That makes it feel like a
fabulous.
get-to
Amazing.
webinar.
I'm doing a webinar next week, and this
Mhm.
would be very helpful. So I cannot wait until this one is available.
Yeah, you have no idea how many people are actually coming to your event. So this makes it a lot better. Also, there's going to be a SharePoint home site app. So within the new home site for Teams, you can bring your intranet directly into Teams, and the app's icon and name match your company brand and the enable employees to discover and navigate and consume your top sites in Teams. So this home site app gives employees a windows into the rest of the company's intranet by using the same global navigation as the SharePoint app are. So it really is making Teams kind of a one-stop shop where you can go and you can camp out for the day, just like you do with Outlook. The first thing you do when you get to work is you open Outlook. The last thing you do when you leave work is close Outlook. So
One might call it a hero experience. I'm
Um,
just here for the jokes today, y'all.
oh dear. Tom, you want to take a couple and then I'll grab some more?
yeah, I'm gonna do one of my infamous, hey, something got a lot of love. Here we go. Fasten your seatbelt. And this week's version of that is going to be Microsoft Search. There were a lot of items
Mhm.
that were in Microsoft Search that have December of 2020 as the release dates that are in development. So I'm going to hit most all of them that I have highlighted here in really quick fashion so we can knock a number of these off at one time. So here we go. First one, custom verticals and refiners in Microsoft Search. You're now going to be able to build your own refiners that you see across the top, where normally you see people and sites and images. Now you're going to be able to build your own customized verticals, which I think is really cool because you may be in an industry or have certain things that you want to have show up that aren't part of the out of the box experience with search. So that's going to be nice. Semantic search is coming to Microsoft Search, which means you're going to be able to use natural language search capabilities, which is always awesome because I've always considered, I mean, we often laugh about, oh, your Google foo is strong, and searching is an art, not a science. So that's nice that you'll be able to actually put real words associated with those things. We have some new Microsoft Graph connectors that give you some search experiences that you don't have out of the box, such as Windows File Share, ServiceNow, SQL Server, internet websites, wiki, blah, 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 blah. So again, if you need to build your own search experiences, you might want to start looking to the Microsoft Graph for that because it is starting to support that kind of stuff. There's also some improvements in the Search API in the Microsoft, actually that was about the same one. Microsoft Search, Bing and Edge mobile applications. Whoop, and there goes Jenn. So the Microsoft Search in Bing and Edge mobile applications, you now will be able to authenticate with your organizational account and search across your information in Microsoft 365 using your mobile device. New Bing Enterprise homepage for Microsoft Search. You're going to be able to company brand the Bing homepage, office content, quick links to things, stuff like that. So again, they're taking the whole Bing experience and tying it even closer to the Microsoft 365 content. A new Bing industry search vertical, which is kind of cool. It's going to start giving you the ability to say, hey, you appear to be in healthcare. We're going to give you industry news related to healthcare, and that's going to come up automatically as part of your content, which is really cool. I like that. Search scoping control. We're adding support for more flexibility in Microsoft Search with SharePoint and search scoping, modern document libraries, lists for sites, hub, or organizational wise. So that looks like they're going to be giving you some more detail that you can go in there. They're bringing the Microsoft Search experience to classic SharePoint sites. Right now, for modern sites, you see it across the top. And if you've got a lot of classic sites like we do from our migration, it still has the little search box over in the corner. That's now going to be fixed. You're going to get it across the top and all the power of Microsoft Search in there. Let me scroll down a little bit more because we have some more search later on. This one's kind of cool. Use, view, and manage your personal query histories. So now when you do Microsoft Search, when you start typing something, it'll give you the drop down and you'll be able to see some of your prior queries. So this gives you the ability, if there's a query that you do on a regular basis and it's kind of complex to get it all put together, it's actually going to store that. So when you start typing it, it will appear in the drop down. You can select it. So you don't have to be bookmarking this thing anymore, which is kind of cool. Is that it? No, it's not. Microsoft Search.
But wait, there's more.
Oh, wait, there's a lot more. People in bookmark suggestions in the address bar and new tab search box in Microsoft Edge. So Microsoft Search and Edge are getting some tighter integration there. Microsoft Search is also going to give you conversation search. So when you're wanting to search for conversations, yes, I'm still talking, Jen, welcome back, to allow you to find relevant Microsoft Teams, Yammer, and Outlook conversations. So you can now focus on, oh, I had a chat with somebody, I need to do a search and I only want those things to come up. That's now going to be available to you. Image search is also coming to Microsoft Search. So you'll have that vertical that says, hey, I want to search for XYZ and I would like to see images that happen to match that. We have improved usage analytics. So when you go out there and you're looking at usage of Office.com Microsoft endpoints and search into Bing, it's going to give you the capabilities to search for things like top queries, no result queries, abandoned queries, kind of some of the things we used to see in SharePoint 2010 search, but didn't quite come across in the SharePoint Online environment. That's kind of coming back. So that's going to be helpful. Personal query history, we already talked about. If you're a Dynamics 365 user, Dynamics 365 is now going to integrate with Microsoft Search. So you'll be able to use Microsoft Search to go in and find things that are part of the Dynamics 365 experience. Microsoft Search is also coming to Excel Online, Word Online, PowerPoint Online, so you can look for it there. I told you there was a lot of Microsoft Search coming up. Modern media search in Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So when you're within those, you can do a search to find stock images that you might want to use, which will be really helpful if you do a lot of that. Microsoft Search, real-time flight updates in Outlook mobile and web. So if you do a lot of searches in your Outlook thing and you've got flights going on there, it'll let you know how your flights, like anybody flies these days, but yeah, you can find out that your flight's been canceled automatically. That's awesome. And then I think the last one, Tamara's going, God, and I have to live with this every single day.
I'm like, I could have taken a nap.
Could have, really. This is my show today. Related work searches helps to reformulate your original query for faster task completion. So I think that's nice that they're helping you get to a closer experience without having to do the longer version depending on how you put it in. Natural language file search in Outlook is going to be there. New acronym exclusion. Yeah, cute, Tamara. or the acronym search that we have out there, you're not going to have an exclusion list. So if you have acronyms that you don't want to have keep showing up, you can actually exclude that now from your search. Microsoft Search topic answers for Project Cortex. If you're part of Project Cortex or you're interested in how that works, now you can start integrating in some of the search results that come back from that. I think I'm really close. Microsoft Search, reuse files and words. Reuse files allows you to build your documents from existing content in other documents and presentations. Smart Find, if you're in Word, Excel, or PowerPoint, you can actually use the search within those to find things that are similar to what you have. That allows you to pull those in. It also will allow you to search for typos in case you don't have an exact match on something, so that'll make it a little easier. And the last one I'm going to touch on, because I think that's actually the last one I have on my list here, is Microsoft Search is going to do QA, and this was announced
So what
at...
you're saying, Tom, is not really much is going on with search.
You are sounding real robotic there. I'm not sure I got what you were talking about. And there she goes again. So I can go back to my last one. Microsoft QA in Microsoft Word. This is kind of cool when you're out there and you're looking at a document, say it's a 20-page document on some water processing or something. Instead of you having to find the exact words to find an answer within that document, maybe you type in, where does city water originate from? How to reduce the amount of lead in water? It can take that and, using the machine learning, the whole bit, take you to the point in the document where that question might be answered. So again, it's building some intelligence in search that may not be exactly a word for word match, but there may be concepts that you want to deal with. So that's really interesting. Tamara, would you like to cover anything that's left? Because there are things still left out there.
There's a lot of things left out there. Yeah, there's a couple things I'd like to cover. OneDrive at a glance in sharing emails. So when users receive sharing emails, they will now see a short, like 3 bullet point summary of the document in the email to better inform them about how relevant the file is for them, so they can make more informed decisions as to whether to spend time opening the file or not. So you get a little summary of the document when you get the sharing email. I think that's kind of neat. Also,
I love that one. Love it.
isn't it cool? That'll save a lot of time. The SharePoint Admin Center, a site creation source. So SharePoint admins will now be able to see where sites were created from, whether it was PowerShell or the SharePoint Admin Center or from Teams or SharePoint Create sites.
Very cool.
And it's also going to be easier to see who created the site. I have always wanted to know that. Exactly. And then bookings. This is an application that allows customers to sign up with a person who provides a service. So in bookings, there's a lot of love coming out, rolling out March 2021. And that's there's CC functionality, the email notifications, add attachments to email notifications, clone an existing bookings calendar. So when you get to the end of the year, you can just clone it and it'll have all your people in it.
Nice.
Yeah. Also update the user experience. So an update to the design and enhance the user experience for viewing the main components of the web app and create a more connected experience. And then an update to staff roles, the addition of a scheduler role and a change to roles within the calendar privileges. Also in Planner, they're now going to be recommending files to attach.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, and there's also going to be a new Forms start page. So the update replaces the existing Forms portal page at forms.office.com with a new Forms start page at office.com. So users who access Forms via office.com will get this new experience first, and then user accessing Forms via forms.office.com will get the experience soon after. And that's supposed to roll out in November. Also for Forms is specific user sharing for response collection. So with this update, Microsoft Forms owners will be able to send out a survey to collect the responses from specific users or security groups.
Right.
So you now have a new option to send to collect responses drop-down menu to select that specific people in my organization can respond. So you can really target those surveys now,
Right.
which I thought was really interesting. Let's see. And then you already went through all of the
Search stuff.
search things. In Microsoft Project, you're going to be able to assign tasks to non-group members. So you'll be able to assign the task to anybody. That's coming out in March of 2021. Also in Project, create attachments on tasks. That's coming out in February 21. And then deploy project for the web in named environments. So organizations will have more flexibility on how they deploy project. So in addition to using project in the default environment, you can now use it in named environments. That's coming out in March. And email notifications for projects. Switch on to receive notifications about changes to your projects. And that's coming out in March also. So projects and bookings got a lot of love.
I was going to make a comment like, you ever going to let me talk again? But after what I did with search, I realized I really couldn't make that statement. So,
Well, are we going to rolling out now?
Actually, there's a couple more that I want to touch on here. A couple for Microsoft Stream. One thing that they're doing, which almost kept me from not wanting to roll that out initially, but I kind of got over it quickly. And that is they're now going to have an enhanced analytics for videos. So you can start to see trends of unique visitors, total views for a video over time, as well as which parts of a video were viewed most. We have that asked a lot, especially from our strategic communications people going, well, I need to know who viewed it and the whole bit. And I can't do that. All I can tell you is 50 people viewed it, and that's it. So they'll really love that one. Plus, there's a setting for public anonymous external video sharing. So you can now start to share stream videos external without people having to log in to see that particular one. The stream admins, yeah, it really is. Stream admins will be able to control if this feature is enabled and who within the organization can make things public. A couple more things. Microsoft Teams, they're going to allow you to actually have pinned posts. So if you've got a chat or a channel and there's something you want to have at the top that everybody sees every time they log in, you can now pin that and it will stay there on a regular basis, which I think is really good. There's a few more things, but just for the sake of our time here, I think I'm going to say I'm good.
And I'd just like to say they're really updating hardware for Teams. They've really invested a lot. A lot of stuff is in development for the hardware for Teams to get additional functionality. Microsoft Teams are now, well, come December, are going to support up to 25,000 members per individual team. I think that's really important. And the other thing that I thought was really important is, says coming in October, but I don't know, is overflow meetings. When the attendees exceed the attendee limit, the meeting will scale to accommodate 20,000 people. So as many as in live events, and they'll be able to watch the meeting. And then the only other one that I wanted to touch on was private channels are coming to GCC High in December.
Yay.
That's when it's slated to roll out. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then Microsoft is also working a lot on the phone calls and calling aspect in Microsoft Teams.
Nice. So Jen, you want to tell us if we can now talk about rolling out?
Well, I was actually going to talk about some in rolling out. Let's see if I
go for it.
See if I can get my video without the network quality causing us to jibble and jabble. But two that I think are really cool in rolling out because they're coming to GCC, GCC High, and DoD. And those are going to be new channel files tab for GCC, GCC High, and DoD and Teams. And then the read receipts are coming. And so Tamara and I spend a lot of time in those environments. And a lot of times we get the, well, I can do this in this environment, but I can't do it here. And I really want to do it here. And be like, we know it's coming. And so rolling out now, we see that very, very excited about that. So I know some users will be super excited to start to see those things happening. So I know the one sounds, the channel files, but that's really exciting because you're going to get to be able to see the different SharePoint views. The documents are going to look the same. All the things that you're used to seeing, Tom, we now get to have. So very, very excited about that one. So with that, I'll pass it to Tamara.
Sure. And the one thing that I'm excited about and rolling out is templates in Teams. So when
Yes.
creating a new team, users can now choose from a variety of customizable templates, just like we could in SharePoint. And they include event management, crisis response, as well as industry-specific templates like hospital ward and bank branch. Microsoft will also publish a set of first-party templates, and customers can also create new templates for their own organization.
That is awesome.
I think that's great. The one thing that I would like to see come out is being able to duplicate a channel, to take a channel and duplicate that and select posts with that channel. So I think that would be great. That's not on the list. That's just Tamara's fantasy.
Oh, we so need a life.
What do you have, Tom?
I just have a couple things in rolling out that I wanted to mention. Sticking with the teams here, they are going to be rolling out a simplified global notification settings, which I think is really good because notifications in Teams still seems to be a black art because they're seemingly all over the place and you get them in one situation but not another. Having a standard globalized place where you can go do them all, and hopefully with a little bit of input as to what works and what doesn't, that will improve the notification process for things that happen in Teams. You won't keep getting notified for stuff that you really don't want. And the other item that I had highlighted was the general availability of SharePoint Syntax. And if you're going, what is Syntax? That was announced at Ignite, and it's based on the project Cortex. But what it does is it uses advanced machine learning and AI to allow you to give it documents and tell the system, okay, so let's say this is a contract. This part of the document, and say these are Word documents, this part has the parties, this part has the dates, this part has this part has that. And then when you bring in new documents to your document library that has this working in it, it can go through and say, okay, I'm going to look at this, and based on machine learning, I'm going to pull out metadata fields that I believe are applicable based on what I'm seeing here. So, I can pull out parties and I can pull out dates and things like that, instead of you having to go out, look at it, and fill in all these information items manually. You can train it for these are good examples of what we've got, and you can train it for these are bad examples. Do keep in mind, this will be available as a user-based add-on, so it's free like a puppy. It means that you can start using it, and when you get addicted to it, they're going to say, oh, that's an add-on for you to continue to use it, which is like $40 per person per month. So think seriously about whether you want people to start looking at this in your organization, but it will generally be available to Microsoft 365 commercial companies on October 1st, which means it should be out there right now. But just keep in mind that, again, sounds really cool. And if it's something where you can look at it and say, oh my gosh, that would save us so much time, great. Take a look at it, see how it works for you, go through the training process. But do keep in mind that it's not going to be covered with like an E5 license or anything. You're going to have to spend some substantial money on the back end to continue to use this. So that's really about the only thing I wanted to mention there, and I'm okay with moving to launched. Unless you had something you still wanted to mention.
No, that covers it. Let's move into launched. Education, Microsoft Teams Education is getting some love around assignments specifically. One thing that I found really interesting is anonymous grading and marking in assignments. So there's all this talk about bias going on right now in equity. So this speaks to that topic. So bias and being able to identify students can have a negative impact on the educator's ability to grade objectively. So with this anonymous grading, educators can select to hide the names of the students whose work they're reviewing.
Ooh,
which I think is great because then you are seriously just grading on the work. Then also there's an improvement to assignments to support large file sizes and counts. So assignments will now be able to support file sizes up to 500 megabytes and more than 10 total attachments per assignment. And that should be coming out in October. Same with that anonymous grading.
very cool. I only had 4 things flagged for launch, mainly because most of the stuff that was in launch were things that we've talked about multiple times leading up to this particular session. And these are 4 items I normally wouldn't mention because they're for Android phones and I don't have an Android, but they were all related to Microsoft Teams. So if you have an Android and you're using the mobile version of Microsoft Teams, do keep in mind that in launch, which means you should have it by now, you should have the ability to raise your hand in a Microsoft Teams room. You should be able to pin a video in a Microsoft Teams room. You should be able to consume and control structured meeting role support and roster controls within a team room in Android. And finally, you should be able to control live captions from Microsoft Teams. And I just have to relate. Yesterday, we were doing an open office hour thing on things that are Teams and stuff like that. And I was running the whole thing because my coworkers were not available. And at one point towards the end, I'm like, hey, live captioning. This is cool. Let me turn this on and try it. And I've had really bad experiences with live captioning, the fact that it can't punctuate properly and it does weird words. But this was like really working well. And everybody's like, ooh, this is cool. Somebody goes, can it do Spanish? I'm like, I don't know. Let's try it. Si habla español. And it actually got it right. And I'm like, whoa, this is awesome. So let's. And I threw out Parlez-vous français? And it came back with something along the lines of poor Francis. Apparently it doesn't do French yet. It does Spanish though. But if you haven't tried the live captioning, I highly recommend it because it is nice if somebody is, not able necessarily to hear, or maybe English isn't their first language or some other language except French. They can go ahead and actually see the words coming across, which may help them for comprehension. So I thought that was kind of cool. Just a little side note.
Yeah, that's great.
And I'm done with my list. Tamara?
That was it for me. Just want to talk about things that have been canceled. Notifications for shared lists in Microsoft To Do. That was a duplicate, so that's been canceled. Outlook Calendar, new APIs. The items have been replaced by roadmap item 53084. So don't worry about that being canceled. It's just been added to a different roadmap. PowerPoint live captions and subtitles in PowerPoint for GCC and GCC High. It was a duplicate, so that's been taken off. And then the usage reports update for new Office extensibility add-in reports. The new report in Office 365 usage dashboard. They're going to continue to update the usage reports to provide you with more complete picture of how your organization is using O365. And they're adding Office extensibility add-ins reports that will help you understand how your organization leverages Office add-ins. That's been canceled.
Okay.
Yeah,
Too
nice,
bad.
but it's been canceled. Sorry to get you excited
Bummer.
about it.
I was marginally happy there for a second.
No, sorry, I'm going to suck the happiness out of you. Well, that's it.
Okay. Jen, you are in mute, I think.
Woohoo! I had
There you
one
are.
more in launched. Sorry, I kept cutting in and out today. I'm having Teams is tired and would like to rest today. So I'm having some issues with it. But I did have one thing in launched that I'm excited about because I finally got to use it this week, and that was List in Libraries web parts to consume dynamic data when you're passing web parts to them. So the web parts and being able to work with that. So there are some new web part connections that are coming out. So I'm excited about that. That was an exciting one.
Okay.
Great.
Well, that was a rather unusual session, but we made it through.
We made it through. I don't know. I know we're in different parts of the US. We must be hitting different tenants or something, but everyone that's down where I'm at today is struggling. So Teams, I think, is having maybe some outage issues this morning, but we'll see. I'm going to have to go check with the help desk and see. But that's why I kept cutting in and out on video. But it's been great. We will be back next week and hopefully have a normal structured roadmap. It was weird getting up to Ignite. No, we had a huge one with Ignite, and then I don't know what happened this week. It was just.
We had stuff that was saying it was in development that was like CY 2019 January, and I'm like, I think I did a tip about this a year ago. I don't think that should be on that list.
something wasn't right, whether it was our error when we put it together, our errors in pointing to me, whether it was my error when we put it together, or whether it was just cleaning up of the roadmap files in general. Either way, we'll be back next week with another update and hopefully have Adam back. So thanks, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye-bye.